So there's three important things we're gonna go over today. My beautiful new pan, a silt bar. Hold up a minute. A silt bar? No. I apologize. I am not sure what the reasoning was behind my head being shoved so far up my own. I happened to say silt bar when I was trying to say skim bar. I have no idea the reasoning behind this, as for the last week I have been researching skim bars, not silt bars. So every time you happen to hear this, just know I'm making a clown out of myself saying silt bar instead of skim bar. As today's video, we will be going over a skim bar, not a silt bar, as they are two completely different things. So stay tuned, as I believe there is still a lot of information to be gained out of this video, and apparently now some entertainment. Yepwelp, what you gonna do about it? So there's three important things we're gonna go over today. My beautiful new pan, and a pupper. Yepwelp, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we are back out on the river. Literally, on the river. So this is Miss Raven, the new prospecting edition pupper. We got ourselves a nice little pupper that's gonna enjoy the outdoors with me and hopefully help me sniff out that gold. What'd you think, Raven, huh? Of course, I don't bring my sluice box, and you can see it looks like somebody was recently out here and they had quite a nice little pool set up there where their sluice box was probably running right over this and then back into the deep. And I could have easily set up my sluice box there and wouldn't have had to build up a dam. I didn't want to have to try to build up a dam because I wasn't sure exactly where the water level was going to be, and I didn't want to play around in the real deep water because I don't feel like going for a ride downriver. But we got something in the mail last week that made me very excited, and today's the first day I get to play with it, and I am hoping that it's going to semi-replace the sluice. It won't replace my sluice, but for today, while we're out here poking, trying to find the Garrett Super Sluice, baby. This pan is the size of a minivan, so hopefully I don't blow out my back or happen to give a hernia out here picking up 55 gallons of material in this oversized Garrett Super Sluice pan. It's quite the pan. Really deep grooves in there, and it has a way bigger bottom than any of the pans that I've used in the past, so I'm very excited to try it out, and hopefully I can process a lot of materials in this. So I'm out at site A-12 from Mr. Kevin's book, Finding Gold in Colorado. And this is a huge cobble bar out here. When you're out here digging, you can poke around a lot and you can do a lot of prospecting. You really want to step back when you first get to your prospect location. Take a look at the water around you. Take a look at the cobble bar around you and really get an idea of where the high point of the cobble bar would be. I was out here about 2 or 3 weeks ago and I didn't do a video on it. I apologize for that. Poking around and prospecting for the prospecting series. Before I found the app, I found a very interesting location that I wanted to share with you guys, as it was my first opportunity to come across cobble bar that I find to be very unique and you don't always get a chance to see. We have had 2 snows in the last 2 weeks or so, so the water runoff is a lot higher than it was a few weeks ago. I'm going to show you the 2 different videos and you're really going to see the difference of this area. I want to find that, as last time I poked around out here, I had some real nice pans, and I think we're getting pretty close to real nice prospecting spot out here at A-12, but shh, don't tell anybody. So you might be asking yourself, what's this guy talking about? Yeah, well, he don't know what the hell he's talking about. How you can really find yourself an awesome location to prospect, not just looking around for the large cobble or a cobble bar or the front of an inside band or the point of a band. We're gonna take it up a notch today, and we're gonna go over the that Mr. Kevin has a nice write-up on his website, and I've been waiting to find one, and I think I found one. So let me know in the comments below what you think about my show you today. So what is a and why is it important to prospecting? Well, let's go ahead and go over that. The easiest way to describe it is the highest point of a cobble bar. I really feel I have found me a nice here, and you can really see the high slout. I apologize, that word is very weird and I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. But right along the creek bed there, it's a very deep channel that happens to run along that. Let me show you. You see the water is coming along pretty quick out of here. As you can maybe follow the bubbles along, if I get my shadow out of the way. And then it comes up to a spot where it gets a little high, and this higher part of the gravel actually goes out and follows all along there and then comes back around. So all of this area in here is a nice gravel bar. But if you notice, right past this high area, we still have some pretty quick moving water right along the edge of the creek bed. And obviously at a real high water mark, some of the water will go up on the run over cobble up there. But what we have here is, as you can see, the water's getting a lot deeper. Perspective would be, I'm just about ankle deep there. And we're gonna walk a couple feet this way. I don't wanna go too far. And we're already a good 6 inches deeper. And it just gets deeper as you go right along this bar, as it's really dug its way out and dug into the side of the band. A lot of prospectors out there might know there's usually a spot right along the front band that might have some puddles, or it's muddy, and that's where the high water kind of ends up building up. And when the water recedes, the high water stays up there and you get stagnant little puddles, or it stays to be mud. Well, here it's deep enough to the point where even last time I was out here, and the area I was standing on now was basically just a cobble bar, that entire area was still running fairly well. So what you're gonna have is you're gonna have really fast moving water coming down here, coming down your stream during runoff, and it's gonna overflow the but the bar being 2, 3, 4 foot higher in the center here than it is around the edges, it gives an opportunity for this water to come down here and then start to ripple, and it slows down enough that this whole cobble bar is gonna have nice flood gold in it. Is we wanna do the next level and determine between the high slough mark, I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct, but we're just gonna go, Yepwelp, sounds good. The extreme high mark of water, the deep trench that runs along the bank there, or the high slough, and then you mix in the low water point, which there's always water at this point. As you can see, that water's cooking. That is the fastest point of the river here as it comes down, and it's very deep out there. I would probably be in over my head, and literally a couple feet from it, I'm not even a shoe deep in water. And as we continue out, you can see this cobble bar drastically drops off and gets deeper. And as the water gets deeper, you can see the effect the water has just rushing around my leg as it builds up turbulence, because this water is moving. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's moving that quick, but it's moving way fast enough to keep kicking the gold right on downstream. So this area right here is probably too quick, and we don't want to focus on this. High water slough trench. That's gonna be a funny word by the time we get done here. So the high water mark right along the creek bed here is always gonna be there, at least at this particular location. And then you're gonna have your Cobble Bar, which spreads out over there. And then clear over on this side, you have your low water mark that's always there. It's always gonna be running water down there. Sometimes this area is just cobble, like you will see, and I will show you and give you an example of. But what's happening here is the water's coming in, and the high water can travel out here and keep cooking, and the high water can travel out here, keep cooking, but right over here, the water's gonna slow down. So this entire Cobble Bar will be full of gold, flood gold, not a crazy amount, but a nice flood gold. But what I'm gonna try to do today is define the marker where we're going to dig right along where the water is deep. I wanna go right up against that edge, right where the highest point is on the bar. And as you can see, there's some rocks back there. That might be our highest point, but I'm gonna go a little bit farther over towards the low water area where the water's cooking, because I want to literally be digging on the edge of the fast water and the edge of the extremely slow water going over the Cobble Bar, which creates your... When you find your high point of any Cobble Bar, that it is a Cobble Bar that generally gets flooded, and on top of that, you're gonna want your high water slout that runs along the bank, and then you're gonna want your low water that's constantly running fast. And if you see down there the high water slout, you can actually see it come out and meet with all the fast moving water. So that creates this nice Cobble Bar that we're sitting on. Well, we would like to pinpoint the exact area that is the highest on the Cobble Bar, and the being the highest possible location on the bar is going to create the most turbulence and the most disruption in water flow. Well, with turbulence and disruption in water flow, that allows the water to slow down, and that's going to allow us to find the most heavies, the most black sands, and hopefully the most goods. You could probably dig out here and find a lot of Colorado flood gold and be happy with it. But if you could find yourself that and follow that along where it has the perfect water turbulence to allow the heavies to have the first opportunity to drop out before they carry up onto the Cobble Bar, that's going to be your best location to prospect. And I really want to try to give a nice tip and trick, but there really isn't A plus B equals C to find yourself. What you do need is, like I've stated before, you need your constant fast moving low water mark, which is going to be on this side of the bend. That's the outside of the bend. And then on the inside of the bend, the water, when it's at high water, starts to eat away at the bank, and it's going to create a very deep trench valley, kind of like a gutter system, that the water can expose itself off of this bar and it can go into there, and it has an outlet. So there's a real deep trough over there, and there's a deep river or creek over there, and right in the middle we have ourselves a nice Cobble Bar. And like I said, you want to find the highest point on the Cobble Bar, and you're going to have your best pans most likely in those highest points, as that is the most water turbulence and the slowest amount of water flow over the Cobble Bar at any given time, no matter the water level, unless the water level isn't up to the highest point of the cobble. Another thing I really wanted to poke on is, earlier in the video, you could tell the Cobble Bar behind me was a little more exposed. So it is November, and it is surprisingly mid-60s out here. It's a beautiful day, but we do have a little bit of snow that was fresh, and it's melting down. So if you ever go out prospecting on a nice warm fall or winter day in Colorado, because we have those out here where it gets up to 60, 50s, and it's a beautiful day to get out on the river, even though it's smack dab in the middle of winter. You just want to make sure that when we get these warmer temps, if you're on a Cobble Bar that has a little bit of water running over it, you want to make sure the water doesn't rise too fast on you. When I first got out here this morning, my white bucket was under probably about 2 inches, maybe 3 inches of water, and it's almost up to the top lip. So moral of the story is, when you're out here on these bars that get flooded often, and you're trying to find some nice flood gold in a cobble bar, just make sure you're being safe out there. Be aware of your surroundings. Keep an eye upstream. I'm not saying it's gonna come raging down. It's gonna be a flash flood. That's possible if it's raining upstream quite a ways and it builds up and comes down. But you just really wanna, throughout the day, keep an eye on your water levels and make sure you don't get trapped out on one of these cobble bars, especially having the high sloth area. That's gonna cause an issue trying to get back over to the bank with all your goods. So, like I said, just make sure you're being safe out there when you are out on one of those flooded cobbles, and heavy pans to you. It was nice to come out here and check out the better yet, it was nice to come out here and enjoy some beautiful weather. Can't complain. I'm middle of November and it's about 65 out here. A Garrett Super Sluice, that thing will displace your back with how much material you can move with that puppy. That's pretty impressive for a pan. I mean, it is huge and it is heavy. I'm gonna get the little bit of cons I did save up, get those home. We are gonna use Kevin's panning method instead of the blue bowl this time, so I can start practicing panning down those fines with just a pan and a magnet. I can just sit on the couch with a little pail and a little bucket and pan down to the goods. Hopefully I can get most of the goods separated out of the black sands, as a lot of this gold is going to be extremely fine gold. That is one problem with finding yourself a you really don't want to run it through the sluice. You really don't want to run through like a high banker. Your best bet's gold cube or pan it, or I mean really you got to take your time with it. It's pretty fine stuff. So I can't wait for future episodes. Have something extremely exciting planned for you guys. Better yet, for myself. Another new toy to the Yepwelp arsenal will be released soon. And with all this nice gold and all this fine Colorado flower gold, all I can say to that is you better stay tuned, because we're gonna cube it so we don't lose it.